Hey everyone, welcome back to part 2 of our segment on emotional mastery. And upon talking after the recording of the part 1 of emotional mastery, we have decided to do a 3-parter because there is so much information here and so much that I want to share with all of you. And I was looking over my notes and my homework and getting ready for these episodes and realized that part 2 is so long. It would actually be a 2-hour podcast episode, which we don't really want to do because I don't want to lose you all. So we decided to break it up into a 3-parter. So this is part 2, and we're going to do another part 3, which will be up next week. Okay. Because there's such gold in here. I'll pat myself on the back. There's such gold in here to share with all of you. And it really is worthy of, in total, 3 episodes.
Let's do it. Yeah. I like that.
All right. So let's continue. So you can read every self-help book in the world, and a lot of people do, but the real test of emotional mastery for all of us is, what do you do in your life when everything starts to fall apart? What do you do? So you can have all the knowledge in your head as you're reading that self-help book, and it's like, okay, this is what you do in the situation, and I'm just going to do that when that happens. And then it happens. And you find that everything you read went out the window and you didn't do any of it. And you flipped out. You know, like, what do you do when your boss blindsides you at work with something? Anything. What do you do when your teenager, like I said in last week's episode, rolls their eyes at you, or they can't have something that they want, or they have to be home at a certain time and they slam their door? And then you're like, whoa, and you jump because it's such a, how many times have I had that happen with the girls in Grafton, actually? A huge slam because they're mad because I took their phone away or they had to be home at a certain time.
Yeah.
And you're already on edge because you are not having the best day, or maybe just having kids is hard right now for you. What do you do when a meeting that you're running or a meeting that you're in goes off the rails?
That doesn't happen.
Right? That's when your ability to emotionally regulate becomes your best advantage, your biggest advantage.
Yeah.
Right?
And you're describing almost every person every day in their life.
Well, that's why we need to learn all this.
Right. This is like how it goes every day in life with all things, right? Like, how do you react to, because there's going to be certain things that you control, not many, but there's far more things that come at you that it's like, how do you react to that? Defines you. Yeah, for sure.
Totally. Okay. So this first part that I want to talk about is what we call emotional contagion, and when you're in a leadership role. Okay. So emotions spread faster than logic. Did you all know that? This is from Yale School of Management 2019 study. Emotions spread faster than logic. Most of us, anecdotally, we already knew it to be true. Okay. So just think about that. Think about when you've been in groups. Think about when you've been in situations with 2 other people, 3 other people, or large groups. Your nervous system is your thermostat for the room. So especially if you're the leader, you're the team leader, you're the CEO, your leadership and how you show up in your emotions and how you regulate them, everybody's watching you and everybody's picking up on it. Calm is contagious. So is chaos. Chaos is contagious.
That's fact.
Right?
That's fact.
Yeah. So and I talk all the time about mirror neurons with you and with the kids. So here's the mirror neuron research. And this is from Rizzolatti et al. I want to cite the research briefly. So mirror neurons show that we subconsciously match the emotional tone of people in authority. So there's a lot about mirror neurons. Mirror neurons are when we're wired for empathy. Most of us, unless you're born a psychopath, you walking down the street and you see a kid who's riding their bike in the park and the kid falls off the bike and you go, ooh, that's going to hurt. That's going to hurt. That's your mirror neurons. That's you having empathy for that person because you understand that their knee probably hurts. Like, oh, they scratched their skin, their knee. Ooh, that's going to hurt. That's mirror neurons. I don't know what the population, 95% of the population has it, right?
You would hope so.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Like, unless really they say, unless you're like truly like a psychopath.
Yeah.
But the mirror neuron research shows that as leaders, we are being watched as leaders, and how you show up affects the people that you are leading. If you're angry and pissed off and sarcastic and make digs and make fun of people in the workplace, don't be surprised when everybody around you that's underneath you is doing the same thing, which can turn into a toxic work culture.
Totally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Teams, they don't follow the smartest person in the room. They follow the one with the calmest nervous system. That's a fact.
I can say,
what do you think?
Well, I can say that I've seen that live for sure.
Yeah.
I think about hundreds and hundreds of meetings I've been in, and there's some truth to that.
Because we respect the person with the steadiest nervous system.
Correct.
Let's say there's an individual who is the smartest person in the room, and they're smart, and they're smart. They know they're smart. They maybe like to tell you that they're the smartest person in the room. And you respect them for their intelligence and what they bring to the table. But there's another person who is always steady, who thinks before they speak. Like I said last week, they give themselves 90 seconds before they will say anything. They just have this wisdom that they seem to impart. They seem thoughtful, introspective. Those are the people who garner the most respect. And if that's you as a leader, you're doing good. Keep doing that.
Yeah.
I think you're that way, Tim.
You think so?
Yeah. What you talked to me about how you show up at work, I think that's probably you.
Well, I try to be.
You're always the person who's going to listen. You don't react, you respond, and you take your time.
Yeah. I think I've learned over time that that's a better approach. Because I know as a younger employee, we're talking about decades ago, but like maybe I didn't respond that way, or I wasn't that way. I didn't hold myself that way, and it didn't serve me well. So you learn, you make choices, you learn from them, right?
Yeah.
Good and bad.
I'm sorry.
The other thing I was going to say too is there's also the person. So you're talking about there's the smartest person in the room. There's the person that's calm and has a better approach. I think there's also the person that thinks they're the smartest person in the room.
Totally.
And tries to show that, and everybody sees through that pretty quick.
Everyone sees through that.
Yeah, but yet they still do it.
Well, they have a need to say, they want to have a voice. It's ego. I mean, of course, the therapist in me is always like, well, where does that come from?
Yeah.
Did they not feel seen and heard when they were younger? Did they not feel seen or heard in their last job? Did they not feel seen and heard in their marriage and in their partnership? Did they not feel seen and heard with their friends? I mean, I'm always going, what's that about?
Yeah.
And it's usually about something, right?
I would think so, yeah.
So I'm going to put this into a little bit of a generational context. So the Gen Xers, which is us, and the baby boomers, we have been conditioned to suppress our feelings, to suppress even thoughts and feelings. You keep it, like I talked about a lot in last week's episode, tamp it down, tamp it down. The Gen Zers and millennials are conditioned to express publicly and instantly how they feel. I think millennials are a little bit in two camps. The older millennials are probably a little bit more like Gen Xers. The younger millennials are more like the Gen Zers. They're conditioned. They're going to express how they feel openly, publicly, and they can do it right away. Both extremes of these different generations really do cause dysregulation in people. Mastery lives in the middle with emotional mastery. Mastery lives in the middle. It's authenticity, being who you authentically are with stability. Because Gen Xers and baby boomers are all about stability. And the Gen Zers are more emotionally. Okay, that's all right. So it's being authentic, being who you really are, saying what you really feel, but you got to have stability here.
Yeah. And so who's to, I don't want to say blame for it, but who or what brought that to be? Why?
That's a big question.
It is. You could say maybe, is it our fault? We're the ones that raised that generation, or we had an influence in raising them.
I think that culture changes as the years go by.
Okay.
And I think this is such a big question. And there's no perfect answer. And I don't think I even have the right answer. Not the right answer, but I have an answer. I have a thought. I think that in some ways, we as the Gen Xers were raised with tamp down your feelings. Nobody cares. No one's giving you a gold star when you go to work today. Who cares? We didn't get a participation trophy. That started to change, right?
Yeah, totally.
We still laugh at that. And I think it's gone by the wayside, but really participation trophies.
I don't know if it's gone by the wayside.
Well, we didn't get that. Baby boomers and Gen X. It was like, get out there. You see it on TikTok all the time. I think it's funny because it is a generation that I know. I grew up with this. In the summertime, I was one of 8 kids, and those are the days, the 70s, which I think was such an amazing time to grow up as a child, where we live on pretty large lots. Looking back now, there were large lots, no fences, dogs running everywhere. It was the suburbs of DC and Maryland. I mean, it was just dogs running everywhere. You knew all the dogs for miles around. You knew all the kids for miles around. Everybody was on their bikes. You never even knew whose backyard or where anybody was, because my mom would kick us out, especially in the summertime, and lock the screen door. So you couldn't come back in. And she's like, go outside and play.
See you at dinner.
See you at dinner. We had a dinner bell. And she would ring that big freaking dinner bell. And you hopefully, if you were like within a quarter of a mile, you'd hear it. But you knew to get back. You knew to get back because dinner time was around now. But we would be like off in forests, discovering new paths to walk with my sisters. It was so fun. On our bikes, we were usually, or someone's backyard playing football or just some game or playing house, usually inside someone's house in someone's bedroom. I mean, my parents didn't know where we were.
Yeah.
They just did not know. So that's us. And maybe the baby boomers ahead of us. And then you have the world got more dangerous. The world got scarier. And the millennials and the Gen Zers, who we're the parents of, it did change. There's fences in yards. Kids just can't go and run because you're worried about them. We're in the suburbs of Chicago, getting hit by a car or getting picked up. I don't know. The world is different. And they're on their phones a lot more. They're very much into gaming and the games and computers and the digital era. We didn't have that as children. Early 90s, mid 95 is when we had the internet. Yeah. And that has changed how the world operates. So it's just different. And we are giving to our children an emotional way and trying to feed into them emotionally, psychologically, in a way that I think many of us were not fed into. Fed, I mean, not literally speaking, but metaphorically speaking, we were not fed emotionally. We didn't go to therapy. Not really. We didn't go to therapy. We do as adults, as children, teenagers, we weren't sent to therapy. That wasn't valued. Yeah. It was rare to hear of anybody who went to therapy. And if you did go to therapy, it was very private and personal. You didn't speak to anybody about it.
No one, yeah, you wouldn't say that out loud.
Because you didn't talk about mental health.
Yeah.
And now, because we didn't get those needs met when we were teenagers in our 20s, we had children and we are parenting different. And we're like, let's get you to a therapist. I want to pay attention to your emotional needs because our parents didn't pay attention to ours.
Yeah.
So I'm giving a very long answer to your question, but I think that's a lot of it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know that there is an actual answer because I think that, again, this is a whole episode to itself. But if you look at some of the things that are different now compared to when we were young, when we were growing up,
right?
It's not like one day some millennial as a kid said, hey, let's all get a trophy today, right? They didn't make that choice. We did.
We did.
So there's things that we have maybe become aware of over time that we said, okay, that needs to change a little bit.
Because maybe the pendulum swung too far to one side.
Maybe.
Because we remember being bullied. We remember being the last one picked for kickball. We remember the last one picked whatever recess or in gym. We remember what it's like to not make the team. And we remember what it's like to always be B level. Maybe our generation said, no, that's not right. It did affect people's mental health. So we want everybody to get a trophy for showing up every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. So maybe it swung too far the other way. And now we're saying, wait.
Yeah. Right. Because if we made that decision and now we're the ones that are like, oh my gosh, everybody's going to get a trophy. Like, well, that was you had an influence in that being a thing, right?
And maybe as Gen Xers, what we've seen is, there are studies on this. There's a study, it was way before COVID. I remember reading it and I cannot cite it. It was probably 16 or 17 that talked about these kids now that we have raised, like these fragile kids, and that fragility is an issue. Now they're out of college. So they get to college. Your professors, you can go to your professor's study hours. And the colleges today have gotten a lot better about mental health and kids taking mental health days. Okay, so I think that they're trying to find the balance as well. But once you get out of college, not enabling a coddling, it's a coddling of, it was that book, The Coddling of these generations, the coddling of the American mind. They don't want to coddle, but they enable them and give into maybe some of these kids that do have a true sense of entitlement, but we want to be able to pay attention to, hey, they really are struggling with a clinical depression. They have a mood disorder. They can't get out of bed. I want to be able to, okay, that's the mental illness. That is a mental illness. So I want to be able to give to that as well. But I think what we've also seen is that when they get into corporate America or in a business, nobody's giving you a gold star at the end of the day and said, you did a really good job, Johnny. No one cares. Just do your job and go home. And I think today we are paying attention to, and this is what I'm speaking with companies about, we've got to pay attention to mental health. It doesn't mean we're coddling people. We've got to find that balance. You've got to pay attention to mental health. And we've got to work on emotional mastery. That's what I'm talking about this. And learn how to emotionally regulate ourselves. It's a win-win for everyone. It's a win-win for the employees and it's a win-win for the employers and human resources.
Sure.
for everybody involved.
Yeah.
We don't want to enable, we don't want to coddle, but at the same time, I think it's wonderful that we are talking about mental health in North America and in the world. And we've got to pay attention that this is happening with people and people are being open about it and they're really struggling. I would never even thought 25 years ago or 30 years ago to call in. And I was in the psychology, social work field. I would never call in. I could never even say I need to take a mental health day. My boss would laugh at me. Whatever, I don't give a shit. Get in here. Be here by 8:30. You got work to do.
Yeah.
You have patients to see.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
Now, when Clinton passed the FMLA Act, Bill Clinton Family Medical Leave Act, then maybe my boss would have said if I was really struggling, and I had colleagues who did do this, they took FMLA for their mental health because they actually needed to go to a psych for treatment of probably a mood disorder, depression. I know of a couple of people that did utilize it, but you took it and they didn't take your vacation time or something when you take FMLA. You didn't call in and say, I need a mental health day today. No one cared.
No.
Even in my field.
Right. Yeah.
We've come a little bit further back we've pulled back from that.
Right.
So we got to find that balance. Emotional mastery, I believe, is where it's at.
Well, think about it. So you're going out and talking to these companies.
Right.
Right. And the HR person is responsible for bringing you in because they're in tune with their investment in their teams and all of those things. Right. And the teams are comprised of many different generations.
Right.
So the things that
Yes.
the Gen Xer needs in 2025 is different, very different than what the millennial needs and what the Gen Z needs, right? There's the mental needs of all, but like you guys as a Gen Xer, you see it so much differently because of how you grew up.
Right.
Right. Even though it is still 2025 and all the things with when we live and all that stuff, but your background makes you're wired way different.
Yeah. 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 So this is why here we are talking. I mean, this is why this is such an interesting conversation and it's a very current conversation. So let's continue to move on with emotional mastery. Okay. So I talked about this a little bit in last week's episode, but I'm going to get into a little bit more detail about this. We just talked about emotional contagion and leadership. For those who are leaders, you need to pay attention to how you're showing up and how you are behaving, outwardly behaving. You need to know that you're being watched. And when your attitude is affecting the people below you, it's affecting your team leaders, your managers, it's affecting everybody. Okay. They're paying attention to maybe on a big Zoom call for those who are hybrid. Some people are in the office, some people are at home on a Zoom. And maybe you got the president of the company who's giving his talk. There's that famous, was it last year, 2 years ago? Was it Chase Bank, JP Morgan Chase, Jamie Dimon, when 1,300 people signed that petition to stay hybrid from COVID because he was bringing them all back in to no longer remote, but all in person, 5 days a week in the office. And I think 1,300 people signed a petition saying, we want to do hybrid. And it was on a Zoom and someone recorded it. He went off on them and that corporate big JP Morgan Chase, I believe, conference call. And was swearing. I mean, he had some good points about why I want you back in here, but man, that delivery was not great. But he was so angry and frustrated. I think he couldn't believe that all these people signed this petition. Well, that's not great. That was not a great look. He just got very angry. Talk about getting dysregulated. He got dysregulated, full of anger, and just kind of ripped everybody a new asshole.
Yeah.
That's a good example of what not to do as leaders.
That's the don't do. Yeah. How old is he?
Probably in his early 60s, I would think.
Okay, so he's
closer to our age.
Is he a Gen Xer? Is he a baby boomer?
Probably Gen Xer or baby boomer.
So
baby boomer.
What if that was a millennial that was in his role? How would they have responded differently? Do you imagine?
I don't think they would have. Okay, we are generalizing and stereotyping right now.
Yeah.
I don't think they would have gone off on everybody like that.
I don't think so either.
No.
Right? I don't think so.
No. They would have maybe been frustrated, but would have found another way to express it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's go into the second part of this, which is your nervous system, why this is happening. So this is your nervous system simplified. And I talked about it briefly last week, polyvagal theory. And this is polyvagal theory and very quickly and in plain English, because this is a whole theory. I need to get somebody on the podcast to talk about polyvagal theory from Stephen Porges, because it's really a great theory and a great therapy if your therapist is using it, or if you have a coach who knows it, is using it. It's really wonderful. So your emotions live in your body, not just in your head. So we're going back to the body now when it comes to emotional mastery. I'm going to just kind of do a little bit of a didactic here. So your autonomic nervous system, the ANS, is the unconscious regulator of stress and calm in your life. The autonomic nervous system, you just need to know that that is the unconscious regulator of stress and calm. There's two main branches of it. I talked about it before, the sympathetic nervous system piece and the parasympathetic nervous system. Okay. The sympathetic is your fight or flight. The parasympathetic is rest and digest, which restores balance. The vagus nerve runs from the brainstem to your heart, down to your gut, is your body's main brake pedal. Okay, remember that. So the vagus nerve starts in the back, your brainstem, the back of your head, brainstem goes down to your heart, down through your gut. That's your body's main brake pedal. Okay, so Stephen Porges is the one who created polyvagal theory in 2011. He talked about number one, the ventral vagal. That's the part of the vagus nerve that brings about safety and connection. That's you having an open posture, a steady voice, and you're making eye contact with people. Okay. Number two is a sympathetic nervous system, which we talked about. That's you in mobilization. You're mobilizing. That's your racing thoughts. That's your tight chest, fast talking. You talk fast. So when I get stressed and I'm in sympathetic, I talk really fast.
You do talk fast.
Yeah. And you know I'm stressed. Yeah. You know I'm in my Vegas.
Or
you know I'm
or
in
your volume might get a little bit higher.
There you go.
Right? A little bit.
That's my sympathetic nervous system.
Yeah.
You're watching it activated in me.
Yeah.
My stress is up. I'm talking fast and I'm talking loud.
Yeah.
The dorsal vagal is when you actually move into shutdown. So that's where you start to feel numb, detached, and checked out. I see this a lot with my clients in their personal lives. I just had a session last week, and I don't do a lot of couples. I don't do couples therapy anymore, but I do have couples I used to see years ago who want to come in to see me for a checkup. I'll do checkups with them or consultations with them. And I just had something where one of the individuals of the couple was talking about an old problem happening in the relationship was happening again. And that person said, whenever you do this, I get shut down. And so I hear that a lot. And clients will say this to me, I got shut down. It usually is in their personal life. So that's your dorsal vagal system. Okay. And some people say, I feel like almost a detached feeling of depersonalization or derealization or a numbness. I just kind of numb out. It's this numb feeling like, am I really here? Is this really happening? I'm just going to shut down the way I feel.
Are they isolating? Is that pretty common too?
They're isolating inside their minds.
Okay. Yeah.
So you need to understand all of this because this is your nervous system. And this is the background to you understanding more about you and how you can learn to master your emotions. Okay. The most important thing out of all of this, I would tell you, if you want to know more about this, you can go online and you can go look for Stephen Porges' work, Porges, polyvagal theory. And you can, if you really want to do a deep dive and you want to work more on how your body speaks for you and understand more about how your body works and the connection, the mind and body connection, your emotional and your psychological connection to your body, I'd get a therapist, and I would get a therapist who does polyvagal work. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool, that work, because he will really teach you the skills in your body to learn how to manage when your sympathetic nervous system feels like it's running amok inside of you, and teaches you how to get more and back into your parasympathetic.
Okay. So it's a responsive teaching.
Right.
Okay. You recognize it, like this is happening now, what to do. Okay.
And the goal isn't to live all the time in your ventral vagal, which is your safety and connection 24/7. That's not the real world. It's to notice when you leave it and know how to get back to it. Okay. You're not always going to be in your ventral vagal, which you feel safe, you feel connected. No, you're not always going to have like steady voice, making eye contact. Situations are stressful.
That's not real.
But to know that you're no longer there and to know, okay, how do I get back to it? Okay. Right. So here's a science piece. This is from Stanford. I want to add this in. Stanford 2017. Slow rhythmic breathing increases heart rate variability. This is your body's resilience metric. So the slow rhythmic breathing can be 4 seconds in, 6 seconds out. So the way I learned it, and I teach this all the time, I was doing this on TikTok last week, is I do 4 breaths in. I'll do it here to show all of you. 2 steps at the top, and then 6 breaths out, or a big, huge breath out. And this changes physiology. We know it. So for me, it's I'll do it. It's 4 breaths in, 2 more sips at the top, 1 big breath out. So it's so I did count of 4 in. I took 2 sips at the top and 1 big breath out.
Okay.
This is our Neanderthal brain. Our brains have not changed that much from a million years ago. So this is our brain being chased by a saber-toothed tiger. You're running. You hide behind a tree. You're like 4 breaths in. Tiger's gone.
Thank God.
Now you're calm.
Yeah.
Now you can walk.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds silly, and there's truth to it because our brains have not evolved that much from a million years ago.
Yeah. I mean, I don't find it to be that silly because there's breathing. So with swimmers, there's the breathing or being aware of breath and when and what is also a thing. I just had a brand new swimmer just ask me just this week, like, when you exhale, you take your breath when your head's out of the water and then you put your head back in the water and you're blowing bubbles, hopefully, right?
Right.
Do you exhale out of your mouth or your nose? And I was like, I'm 90% sure I exhale out of my mouth.
I do.
And I don't think it matters. I think it's okay if you exhale out of your nose, but I think you have a little bit more control.
Breathing?
Because just what you just did.
I breathe out my mouth.
Yeah. But you have a little bit more control of the pace of the release of your breath.
Right.
If you're breathing, exhaling out of your mouth.
Yeah.
Right. Some people just don't even think that. But this guy did, which was interesting. But it's like you turn your head to take a breath. Well, how big is that breath? Right.
Yeah.
Like breath is part of that as well, because that relaxes you. And it's important to get oxygen back into your body because it needs it for a second, right? And then let it go again.
So, when I just did that breathing, I'm going to repeat myself. That does increase your heart rate variability, HRV, which is big in the world of wellness. That's like I said, that's your body's resilience metric. So you want to work on that heart rate variability. I mean, this is big with lifespan and just wellness in general. So heart rate variability, it equals faster recovery from stress. So when you are stressed out, do the breathing that I just taught you, or if you want, you can do the 4 seconds in and just 6 seconds out. It doesn't matter. Find what works for you. When you have low heart rate variability, you are at a higher risk of burnout. So there you go. So when you slow your exhale, you're not being Zen. This is not like new agey. Well, maybe it is. It doesn't matter. Just let's not put a label on it. When you slow your exhale, you're signaling safety to your brainstem.
Yeah.
We're safe. We're good. We're good. Okay.
And that's probably like in the world of Zen, which you're referring to. I mean, that's probably part of it too, isn't it? It is. Right? Yeah.
But this stuff works. Mind-body connection.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. And last week I talked a little bit about DBT, and I wanted to go into that a little bit more because I know I'm talking very quickly and fast about a whole huge theory that we in the therapy world use. Now, coaches don't use this, or if they do, they're not talking about it. That's my one beef more with the coaching world, is that they go to our conferences, therapy conferences, and they take information. They take cognitive behavioral therapy. They take DBT. They take a lot of our polyvagal stuff. And I don't care that you do. Just name it. Name where it comes from. Don't take it on and own it as your own. Like my Sir Loop and my ICE, that's all from cognitive therapy. I'll be the first to say it. I didn't create this on my own. Remember, Taryn, our podcast manager, she said to me when I was complaining about this to her, I think I said it on another episode, she was, Anna, you have to watch that YouTube video. Everything's a remix, which was actually very interesting. Someone did a documentary on what nothing is new. And they went back in history to the beginning of our country. Like nothing is new. Everything's a remix. I guess Led Zeppelin ripped off music from other artists and creators, and Led Zeppelin's Led Zeppelin. So it's like, it's okay. I've gotten over, I had a big beef about it before, but it's okay. I feel like this is my Gen X coming out. I feel like you should cite your references. Cite your references. Like you can't plagiarize, but people are plagiarizing all the time.
Right.
Don't plagiarize. So last week, I was talking about Marsha Linehan. Many of you have no idea who she is. She's the creator of dialectical behavioral therapy. And that therapy she created specifically for people with borderline personality disorder. So that's what the history of this therapy. And it was for people with borderline BPD. And we actually think, and I think there's truth. I remember my boss saying this to me years ago. He was like, well, it's because Marsha Linehan is a borderline. I'm like, oh, get out of here. Really? He's like, no, she is. Actually, I think it's come out that she has said, I do have borderline personality disorder. And I created this as much for myself as for my patients.
And when was that? about?
I have to look it up. It wasn't too long ago. I think it was in the 80s,
Okay.
80s or early.
I'm just for point of reference.
Maybe in the 80s.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now we're using DBT for all kinds of mental health issues. I don't even think you have to have mental health issues. DBT, I'm talking about today when I'm talking about emotional mastery. DBT is a fantastic therapy. Now, it's much more structured. It's very controlled and structured. If you have borderline personality disorder, I used to teach it, but I don't do it anymore. It's very didactic. It's very teaching. You have to see your client twice a week. Then they have to go to a DBT support group where there's accountability. They have to do homework. I mean, you're in, you're all in. I didn't have actually time to see people at that point in my practice twice a week. And my clients didn't like it because they didn't want me just teaching. They wanted to come in and talk with me. And I'm like, all right, well, then we'll do one session where I teach you, I do the didactic, and then you come in again this week and we'll do the psychotherapy, which is the talk therapy. It just got really hard to do. So I just recommend people go to DBT clinics where you do all of it.
Yeah.
So, okay. So all that to say, that's just a side note. I want to talk about it here today because it is a part of emotional mastery. So DBT is emotion regulation. These are the skills that are taught. Motion regulation, distress tolerance, interpersonal effectiveness, and meditation relaxation. Those are the 4 tenets of DBT. So I'm giving you all a very brief overview. Emotion regulation is one of the 4 tenets that Marsha Linehan created, and it's just so great. And I teach it all the time now with everyone. So props to Marsha Linehan. She was really very genius in this, okay? So Dr. Marsha Linehan, she taught that regulation starts before you become emotional. And that's really important for all of us. So before you're getting emotional, you got to work on that regulation piece, okay? So I'm going to give you one skill. There are so many skills that are taught in that therapy, and most of you don't need it, but I'm going to give you one skill that she created that we use, giving it to you now. It's the please skill, Please, please. Physical illness, eating, avoid substances, sleep, and exercise. This is the basis of emotion regulation. This is the basis of emotional mastery. You got to get these down before you become emotional, okay? So simple, it's not soft. These prevent your amygdala from overactivating. And what does that mean? Physical illness, if you're sick or you're not feeling well, pay attention to that because you don't have the strength to maybe be able to regulate your emotions. So if you go to work and you're sick, if you're not feeling well and you're with your kids, you're more apt to lose your patience, fly off the handle at somebody at work or at home. Pay attention to your physical illness. Manage that. Take care of that the best you can.
Yeah.
Maybe you need to just go lie down and you need to make yourself a cup of hot tea when normally you wouldn't do it. Maybe you need to do that. Physical illness.
The other side of it too is you might not have the energy to deal with it as you might normally, so you might just let stuff slide, right? You might be just like, oh, whatever, right? Like you're like, whatever, like I have no energy for that right now. Just whatever happens, happens. Oops.
And you don't want to do that, right?
No,
yeah,
you would normally choose not to.
Because you feel like crap.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So pay attention to that. Take care of it. Eating. Pay attention to what you're eating. Pay attention to how you're eating. This is also important. Don't eat crappy processed foods as best you can. Eat nutritious, life-giving foods, fruits, vegetables, proteins. If you're vegan, get those good legumes and beans and get nuts in. If you're not, eat fish. If you're a regular person, get in chicken, beef, eat well. You could have some dark chocolate. I eat crappy at times. It's okay,
Totally.
but don't make that an everyday regular thing for you. I think we don't realize how good nutrition helps to regulate our emotions. It gets our mind right. They did a study years ago. It was on 60 Minutes. This is like probably 2000, a long, long time ago. They did a study. They watched these kids at a juvenile detention center and they changed the cafeteria, changed the food they were feeding these kids. And they watched these kids' behaviors change while in the detention center because they started to feed them whole grains, organic foods. I don't know who funded this, but it was an amazing research and study they did on these 14, 15-year-olds, all boys, the changes in their behavior because they were eating better foods.
Yeah.
That's how important it is.
Well, think of yourself. You'll have a run of eating garbage food. how do you feel? How do you personally feel?
Right.
You feel terrible. You're mad.
Like crap.
You're upset about it. You lie down. You like isolate yourself a little bit. You're like,
insulin.
I need to just like,
and then your insulin drops.
Yeah, you feel bad.
You ate white crap, but it's also affecting you physically. Your brain fog.
Yes.
You're like low energy. And then for me, when I do that, I try not to. I don't do it that much, but when I do, I find that, I was talking about it last week. Was I talking about the podcast, all the Reese's I ate?
Yeah, last week. I think it was last week.
Well,
or
I
2
made
weeks
myself,
ago.
and I think it was after we recorded. No, I did. I made myself go work out that night. I was so mad at myself. I ate like so, and I must eat like 3,000 calories. I know for me, that's a lot. That's a lot. I mean, I ate so much freaking chocolate that night, but I made myself go work out because I was mad. But most times I'll do that and I don't do anything. Because what happens, forget it. I already ate all that food. I'm not going to go work out now. Like I say, do 10 minutes. And there are times, I'll be really honest and open here. Like there are times like I'm not doing 10 minutes. I'm just going to stream a show on Netflix for like 3 hours and curl up in my blanket, which is fine too. But it's what's going on inside of me.
Right.
So pay attention for the most part to how you're eating. Okay. Maybe you want to make some improvements there. This all feeds into emotional mastery. Avoid substances. Okay. So physical illness is PL. The E is eating. Avoid substances, the A and the please. Really watch your alcohol intake, watch your substances that you're taking in, watch your weed, watch the cannabis, watch the THC. I'm not going to speak about that. We're living in a world today where they're saying no alcohol is the best alcohol, like no alcohol at all. Be careful of the cannabis. Not everybody, this is true, should be smoking pot. Not everybody should be taking cannabis and THC. Not every brain needs that stuff in their system. Some people are fine with it. Some people are not. And it can really depress you. Well, we know that THC and alcohol, they're depressants. If you're somebody who struggles with depression and you struggle with emotion regulation, your dysregulation, being down, hopeless, depressed, lack of motivation, can barely get anything done, you are the last person who probably needs to be drinking and taking in THC. That's exactly what you're going towards. So that's a whole other thing. But you got to watch those substances if you're interested in having emotional mastery over your life. S is the sleep of the please. Sleep, 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 sleep. I am the sleep Nazi. My clients would call me that in my office before COVID. You're the sleep Nazi because I said this before on here. I cannot talk to you about your clinical depression if you're not sleeping. If you're sleeping for 4 hours, that's got to get managed first. And I will teach you the skills. There's a lot that I can help you with sleep. And then some people do need help with pharmaceuticals until they get back on track. I tend to lean away from that, but there always are certain individuals that they do need help because we got to get you sleeping, that we can get you off what it is that helps you, the sleep aid that helps you, and not Ambien, because I think that stuff's the devil, and not Benadryl, because that stuff is not good. And there are studies that show it can lead to dementia later in life. So get professional medical help with that, okay? If you're somebody who you've tried everything, you're not sleeping. It's so, so important that you're getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night. 6 hours, not cutting it for most people.
Yeah.
Some people can do 6 hours. I think you might be one of those people, but even you will do better with 7 or 8. Sleep is that important for emotional mastery. And then exercise, the last part of the please, E, exercise. Got to find some sort of exercise that works for you. If that is even 15, 20 minutes of walking, getting out in nature and walking, get your exercise. If it's going to a HIIT class, going to a Pilates class, it doesn't matter, but get exercise in your life. Okay. Once you get those taken care of, you got to do that first before we can really start to get into, for you, emotional mastery. Okay?
And when you say that, you're talking about all of that.
All of that before.
Yeah.
And then you will find that just by doing that, please, the physical illness, eating, avoiding substances, sleep, and exercise, that you have a great baseline.
Yeah.
And so I would teach this when I worked in psych. I ran these group classes with the psych patients. We got them all working on this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Makes sense.
If your body's depleted, your emotional brain is going to overreact. If your body is depleted, you're not going to have the best set of tools inside of you because you're just going to go into reaction mode. Less into response, more into reaction. And this is what I talked about last week. This is how we move into the introduction of wise mind. Okay, so it's the overlapping of logic and emotion, your emotion mind and your rational mind, and we overlap them together. And there in the middle is your wise mind. So I was telling you, like I would say, use your wise mind, use your wise mind.
Yeah.
There you go. So you're feeling really emotional about a situation. Take as best you can, back up, try to take your emotions out of it. Look at the situation non-judgmentally, try to have objectivity about it and use your reason about the situation. Now that can be very, very difficult for people to do. And that's why this is a skill. And that's why I say this all the time. This is a practice. Like yoga is a practice. This is a practice. And once you practice it, you will find, and if you take care of the please skills, which I just mentioned, you will find you will be able to use your wise mind better. And what a cool feeling when you do it.
Yeah.
It just feels like such success.
I can see where that, for certain folks, that's going to take some time. That's going to take a lot of repetition.
Yes, it does.
Because even building that base that you're speaking about, that alone might take some time, because those are habits that might have been with you for a long time.
And a lot of people, when we're first starting to work on this, develop the awareness later, but that's okay. And they'll say to me in a coaching session, I didn't do anything about it in the situation. I ate crappy that night and I didn't get good sleep because I'm worried about this. And I showed up to work and I completely I had a thing with one of my colleagues. We were not getting along, or I don't know, somebody said something that I thought was kind of a smart alecky comment, and I made a snarky comment back to them. And that's okay. They're coming to a coaching session. They're talking to me. They develop the awareness where they didn't have it. Like, oh yeah, because I didn't sleep well last night.
Yeah.
And I went to McDonald's drive-thru and overate and felt sick, and I didn't really want to be at work today.
Yeah.
This is the day I had to go in. I'm hybrid, but this day I had to go in. There was a meeting and this person gets on my nerves, and they said something that normally maybe I'd let blow off, and I said a smart ass comment back to them.
Yeah.
And I just kind of ruined my day.
Yeah.
There you go.
And in the past,
that's the awareness. That's how you,
Right. Because in the past, that would have just been normal.
They may not have known why they were snarky and a smart aleck to their coworker.
Or they might not even have cared about it.
Yeah.
Right?
That's
maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just how I am.
Yeah. Okay. And then I want to go into a little bit more about the vagal tone. So I think that's really important for you all to I would really work on that. If there's one big thing here I'd work on is strengthening your vagus nerve response. If you can get that breathing down, the 4 breaths in and the 2 sips at the top and the 1 big breath out, you are going to be ahead of the game, because most of us are not taking care of our breath, not paying attention to our breath. Okay.
Yeah.
And you can also do grounding techniques through your senses, which is also another skill. There's so many skills that I teach, and I'm just going quickly through some of these. The 5x5 reset, physiology first, psychology second. So pay attention to your physiology, then you take care and pay attention to your psychology. Okay. So that's how important our body is in emotional mastery. Once you get it regulated, your body, you're moving into mastery, which is cool for all of you.
It's just like 2 phases is what you're describing.
Yeah.
There's some things to do. And then once you've got that part of it down, move into phase 2.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Okay. So here's your power move. I want you to audit your emotional footprint. Take a minute. I want you to audit your emotional footprint in your world. How does your energy change a room? When you walk into a room, what changes? You walk in, you and your energy walk in. Notice. And if you haven't done this before, do it now. How do you think people perceive you?
Yeah.
Notice your energy. So I learned this. This is someone who was on my podcast a couple years ago, and I already did this. I do this before I'm about to speak. I do this sometimes before the podcast. I do this before a networking event. I will actually, like, outside the room, the conference room, when I'm still in my car, I get out in my car and I shut the door. I will actually visualize myself head up. Anybody who's ever worked with me and you're listening on YouTube or you're watching on YouTube or listening, you know that I've talked with you about this. Head up, shoulders back, smile on your face, empowered. It's kind of like that book that came out about the power moves that woman, the author, female author, forget her name. My daughter, Samantha, she used to use these before she was doing her interviews for her internships. It's head up, shoulders back, smiling, and then you go and you're making eye contact, and I visualize how I want to be seen. I embody the energy and I visualize it. And I visualize myself like in a red, and even if I'm not wearing this, I'm oftentimes not, depending on where I'm speaking, in a red power suit. And I'm strong, I'm confident, and I'm warm, and I'm friendly. And I think that, embody it. And I do believe I walk into rooms showing up that way. I believe I do, because what I get back, I think it's the energy. I'm telling you, people are attracted to that. It's like a manifestation. I manifested, and I act as if. I act that way. Even if I don't feel it, I act as if. And then I do feel that way. You will find people want to come to you. Hi, nice to meet you. It's attractive. It's a law of attraction, right?
I think another aspect to it as well is the eyes. Right? Like, what are your eyes? How do your eyes present?
Make eye contact. If that's hard for you, you can work on that. Okay. But so that your first power move is audit your emotional footprint. Audit how you are showing up. How does your energy change your room? Your energy. Look at it as best you can. It's an audit. It might be hard to look at. Okay. But I really want you to think about that. Number 2, do one vagal activation each day this week. Okay. I want you to work on your breath. I want you to work on your posture, like I just talked about, and your movement. So that goes back to the please skill from Marsha Linehan, movement. That's a physical exercise. Okay. So breath, posture, head up, shoulders back. Are you slumping in the chair? Are you slumping when you're standing? Your shoulders forward, shoulders back. Put them back. Okay.
And you can even combine a couple of these together at the same time, right? Breath and fitness go together. The same with posture, to be quite honest.
Right. And the third power move is to check your please factors weekly. So check the please in you. How am I physically feeling? Is there a physical illness going on? For most of you, it'll be a no. How am I eating? Am I avoiding substances as best I can? And I'm not talking to you all about having a glass of wine. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, and are you using it to numb out? Are you using it to avoid? Okay. Check your physical substances. How much are you taking edibles? How much are you smoking weed? Why are you doing it? You want to show up at your best self. They do need to be reduced, if not cut out of your life. Check your sleeping. How are you sleeping? And how's your exercise? Check in with yourself about your exercise. If you're not exercising, start thinking about doing something. Okay. Even getting on a walking treadmill, if you're working from home some days, and walking while you're on your laptop. That's movement.
A lot of people do that.
A lot of people are doing that. Yeah. And I know my clients do it, and it's been so great for them.
Totally.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is part 2. Next week, I'm excited about, we're going to talk a little bit more about emotional mastery, endurance, enduring this over time. And we're going to talk about athletes, and I'm going to talk about my experience as a triathlete, and how, whether you be an athlete or you be in the workplace, how the skills that I have learned and how I utilize them in the workplace. It's unbelievable, the translation. So we're going to talk about the athlete's mind and the central governor theory. Some of you are like, what the hell is that? I'm going to tell you what it is.
I'm saying that.
The central governor. Yeah, we don't know. You don't know what that is? Okay. So I'm going to talk with you all about that. We're going to talk about even more of DBT skills, tools, real-time stuff. Okay, so I'm going to give you a little bit more there. We're going to reframe stress in the wise mind, and we're talking about emotional fitness as culture, as well as integration and recovery rituals. This is important stuff, and I'm excited to share this with you. This is some gold, all right? You listen to all 3 of these episodes, you're going to have so much amazing information. Hope that you're taking notes, and if you need to go back and listen again, take notes. And if you want more help with this for your life, for what's happening for you, you want one-on-one with me, of course, as always, email me, all right? hello@annamarcolin.com. And please give us feedback, right? What do you love? What could we improve on? What would you like us to talk about? Do that in the comments on YouTube, on any of the podcast platforms that you listen to. We love your feedback, okay?
Totally.
And
absolutely.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
We appreciate it.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Comments are fun, I think.
Fun. Yeah. Okay. All right, everyone. Mad love. Until next time.